Hello and welcome. I'm Gary Scheib. Thanks for listening in as we continue to talk with leaders in our community. And we welcome back to the show folks from Overlake Hospital for, I think, the third year in a row, as this time of year offers us an opportunity for seniors and their families to ask questions and get more answers about life as a senior at Overlake Hospital's annual Active Senior Fair. It's coming up soon. We welcome today Charlene Raunio, the education coordinator, as well as Dr. Kentaro Nishino. He's a geriatrician, and like I said, both with Overlake Hospital and both a big part of the upcoming Active Senior Fair. Charlene and Dr. Nishino, welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you for having us. We're really excited to be here.
And Dr. Nishino, you're also a geriatrician there, a member at the Senior Health Clinic, right, at Overlake?
Yes,
that's kind of
correct.
A new part of Overlake, isn't it, relatively?
It's been there for quite some
Yeah,
time. But,
it's been in existence for over 20 years.
Oh, so I'm way off base with my first question.
Well, I think it's getting more traction now.
Okay, there's more seniors now.
That's
Maybe that's
right.
okay.
That's
Well,
right.
great. Well, good. We are going to talk about the seniors and aging, and because this Active Senior Fair, it's actually a pretty good idea for the community to learn more. Like I said, baby boomers, there's a lot more of us now, and I'm putting myself in that category. People are aging. We're all have to face that fact, right? I'm not a medical man, but I don't have to go out a limb on that one, right? We all age, right?
That's right.
Okay, let's start with some basics. The Active Senior Fair, before I forget, Charlene, it's this coming up this Saturday.
Saturday the 11th,
Yeah.
from 10 o'clock until 3. We'll be back at Westminster Chapel in Bellevue again. It's on 24th, and we've got a whole lineup. The day is packed from 10 o'clock until 3. Lectures, workshops, entertainment, vendors, got over 15 different health screenings, and the whole entire thing is free.
Free at Westminster Chapel of Bellevue. They've hosted this several times. It's a good facility to rent out for a place like this because it's big, it's got a lot of rooms, and there's a lot of free parking, too. It's an easy part of Bellevue to use as a place for the community, right?
Yeah, and it's easy to access into. Like you said, the parking's free. It's got a big parking lot out front, no stairs. And I have the entire first floor of their church to have all sorts of activities going on.
Yeah, and like you said, screenings for blood screenings, bone density, blood pressure, things like that, cholesterol, stuff like that?
Doing a lot of balance-related screenings, both by physical therapist. I have a vision screening by Northwest Vision Institute is back this year. We've got home safety checks. A new one that we added this year is lower leg screening, basically a vascular to see how your legs are doing. Are you getting enough blood down into the lower limbs?
Wow, okay,
And they'll
great.
do a screening on that. It's very non-invasive.
Cool. And part of this is always lectures and workshops that people can learn more about. Just a couple of ideas that, they've always sort of floated around. I'm not sure I know about this or that, or my knees hurt. Why is that, going on? Things like that, right?
Yeah, when I put together the lecture component of, and I have a lecture every hour through the fair, I always try and look at what the main components are that people are dealing with. So I have one on AAA. I have one on colon health, one dealing with what exactly is a stroke. How do you prevent a stroke? Painful knees. And if you've ever had painful knees,
So you're
you
talking to the right
understand that.
person now.
That's right.
I used to love to hike all the time, and then every once in a while I say, you know what, I don't think I want to do that one because each time I come down that mountain, man, my knees hurt after that,
Right.
or on the way down.
Yeah. And one of the orthopedic surgeons is going to be talking about what can be done, what should you be doing, avoiding, all of that. And then one other that we have is how to successfully age.
Yeah.
And Dr. Nishino will be doing that one.
Yeah, so you're a geriatrician to talk about
Yes.
this. A geriatrician, I think I know the root word of that, right? It's,
Yes, geriatrics.
Yeah.
And then geriatricians, and actually we find that a lot of people don't know exactly what a geriatrician does. So I'd like to kind of explain that.
Yeah, please.
Basically, we're all internal medicine or family practice physicians, and we've gone on to do an extra year or two training just focusing on learning how to take care of seniors. It's called a fellowship training, but there's a geriatrics fellowship training, just as there's a cardiology fellowship training or gastroenterology. So it is a specialty, and we do basically everything that has to do with getting older. And then for our practice, for our geriatrics practice, we actually do quite a bit of primary care. So basically, take care of folks just like an internist or family practice doctor would do, but with just a different angle on it, just a set of lenses looking at it through, trying to make sure that patients are doing well as they get older. And we're able to take a little bit extra time in our clinic, which is super nice, to get to know our patients and to try to do, what's best for them.
So a geriatrician may be a family doctor
Yes,
in
absolutely.
with a specialty.
Yes.
Okay.
Into special board certification for geriatrics.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
So what kind of background is that? Again, after you've got your MD and maybe in internal medicine, what are the specific things you actually go to school to be a geriatrician for?
So,
and without getting too medical
sure.
for us, but
so there are different fellowship programs across the country. I happen to go to the one in Honolulu, Hawaii, at the University of Hawaii, but basically we just have a very intensive year or two. I end up doing 2 years training, but just studying about the physiology of getting older, and then the way medications interact with older people, and then there's so much social. There's a big social aspect to getting older too. It's not just the medical things, but taking into account your living situation, your family situation. That all plays a key role as we all get older. Can somebody stay at home? Are they safe? That kinds of things. So it's a very interesting specialty. I really love my job. It's not just the medical part. We really get to know our patients and their families very well.
Wow, so that's pretty cool. I was going to ask a question. You kind of answered it before I even brought it up about, geriatric medicine being broken down into more aspects than just the body, or some people might. My next question was mine, but then you went into the social aspect as part of your discipline.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So are there compelling reasons why an individual would want maybe a geriatrician to be their primary care physician? I mean, is there something a primary care physician would say, I'm not sure? Wouldn't they know all the stuff anyway? Or
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think you necessarily have to have a geriatrician just because you're a certain age, but I think a geriatrician, has more training and expertise in certain syndromes. A really big one for us is memory loss. It's a huge one. Of course, we have excellent internists and family practice physicians out in the community who are more than capable of working with patients with memory loss. But I think with the geriatrics clinic, the senior health clinic, we just have maybe more resources, and the big part of it is we have a little bit more time available to spend. Working with somebody with memory problems in their family just really necessitates a really involved, deep look into how things are going, and then we have that available at the senior health clinic, which is really nice. We also deal with other common things that happen with getting older, falling down. So many people fall down, and unfortunately some people break hips and bones, and that can be a life-changing experience for them. Perhaps they may not be able to go back home. If they do go back home, they're going to be needing a lot more help, that kind of thing. Deal with incontinence issues, which is so common. It's probably not addressed enough because people are kind of embarrassed to bring it up, but that's such a huge issue for a lot of folks. So we have a little bit different slant on how to take care of people as they get older, and hopefully with the added expertise and the added time that the senior health clinic has for each patient, that we can accomplish that.
Now, that's interesting, too. I want to ask that question because as someone who takes care of an aging mother and you take her to the doctor, it seems like they rush you in, they rush you out. But every once in a while, there's a specialist that we will see that will take as long as it seems to take. And I'm thinking, there must be 100 people lined up outside, but I think they plan the visit to be longer. Is that a real thing that's changing now? Because I don't recall that in the past.
I can't speak for the other clinics, but here at Overlake, we're so fortunate that our administration is so supportive of our program. Older people take a lot longer to see thoroughly and do a really good job. There's so many issues. A lot of people take a lot of medications, And sometimes it's a little bit, patients may have some memory loss. It may be hard to get the information initially when we're talking. So really rushing through a visit in a, typical 10-minute, 15-minute format really is not conducive to really good care for some seniors. So Overlake, we actually have a allotted 30-minute follow-up visit. Our initial visit is actually quite extensive. It's a 90-minute visit.
Wow, that's terrific.
Thank you. We're really proud of our initial visit. We actually have a 30-minute consultation with a pharmacist that's on staff to talk about all the medications, all the possible interactions, and whether they're at the right dose for your age, that kind of thing. And then we do a 60-minute visit with the physician, the geriatrician, do a very thorough evaluation, which sets a really good framework for moving forward. And for the follow-up visits, we do the 30-minute visits and longer if we need, depending on the situation. So,
man, that makes a lot of sense because I know, people who see more than one doctor for different ailments take a medicine for this and a medicine for that, and you kind of hope that they see the file, but that a pharmacist is there to talk it all over for quite a while and really dig into what all those mean. Man, that's a great idea. People should take note of that tip when they go to their doctor, right? I mean, that's a great one. Let's talk about other aspects of, you call it aging successfully is the name of your talk that you're going to give Saturday, right? Let me start asking about diet, let's say, and then I want to go to exercise, and then I want to go to a couple other things. But let's start with, as we age, do we have to, or should we, just to be proactive, change our diet a little bit at a time? And how do we know if we're doing wrong or right things that we've done all our life? Maybe we've been healthy all our life, eating the same thing, and all of a sudden, hey, I have 10 more pounds on me than I used to. Or I don't know, something like that. Take any one of those questions you want, Doctor.
There's not any particular significant change, you'd have to make if you're eating in general a healthy diet. And I think because there's been such a great job of promoting heart-healthy diets that a lot of people know what a healthy diet is already, low in cholesterol, on fat, try to limit your sodium intake. Those are all things that have been out there for a long time now, so a lot of people are familiar with that. I think in general, as we get older, the caloric requirements, the amount of calories you have to take, that's come down somewhat, so you don't have to eat as much to maintain, which accounts for if you eat the same all the way through, then you might be gaining a little bit of weight.
Okay. So now I guess I knew that your body doesn't need as many calories, but there's something about that says I still want to eat the same amount of food on my plate every night. Is there something in the mind that's tricking us that says you're used to this, but your body doesn't really need it? I mean, how come we can't get over that hump?
I imagine it must be hard to get over those, just the habit, and then we really like it when people eat well, though. So when we talk with patients, it's always a balance. I mean, we can always, of course, try to be healthy and eat right, but I think it's also very important to enjoy your food too. So it's a balancing act. I think as people get into their senior years, it's really comes down to maximizing your quality of life as much as possible too. In addition to, of course, we want to live as long as possible, but if you're, for example, eating something that you hate every day so you can live a little bit longer, that may not work out in the end to have been the right way to go. So
I mean, I know Brussels sprouts are good, but if you don't like the taste of them, can't you find something else that's green or leafy to put?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So there's a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, I think in general, though, we recommend nutrient-dense foods in general. So
what do you mean by that?
I think basically foods that don't pack a lot of calories, but still have a lot of nutritional value. So those are things like just fruits and vegetables, and you mentioned vegetables just now. But I think those are always a good foundation for your diet. And then to have protein in your diet if you eat meat, then to eat that sparingly with the red meat, more fish, chicken, things like that. So
great. We're talking with Dr. Ken Nishino. He is a geriatrician at Overlake Hospital. We're talking because Overlake Hospital is sponsoring their annual Active Senior Fair. It's Charlene Raunio is here. She's the education coordinator. 20-some years now.
21. This is the 21st year that the hospital's been putting this on.
Wow. Coming up, so Saturday, this Saturday the 11th, 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, right?
Correct.
At Bellevue's Westgate Chapel. Is
Westminster Chapel
See, I
of
better
Bellevue.
There we go. See, that's why you're here. I got to read it correctly. You've been doing it 21 years. Yeah. Westminster Chapel, it's on Northeast 24th Street in Bellevue.
Correct.
Right. Free, lots of things for people to listen to, like a lecture that Dr. Nishino's been talking about how to age successfully, but it's all day, really, for the most part. It even starts with some gardening tips. You've had this woman on many times, right?
I have.
Marianne Benetti?
Yes.
Talk about her, because it's not just learning about our bodies like the doctor's telling us, but there's some fun stuff for, like it is, active seniors, cool things to do and learn.
Well, like Dr. Nishino says, it's, looking at that social component too. So besides the learning the tips of health, it's also what are the social aspects you're doing. And so obviously, and I'm an avid gardener, I bring in Marianne Benetti. It's a great activity, fun to do. She's doing one this time on tips for the lazy gardener.
Oh, good.
And I think
probably most of us.
Yeah, I may need to be involved with that one.
And you also do a fashion show most every year, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm working with J. Jill again this year of Bellevue Square, and they'll be doing the fashions. I have 10 models. All my models are senior ladies. I don't have any 18-year-old little petite things that are going to be there. I have senior ladies, and they'll be showing the fashions, 2 different outfits each through the style show. Yeah,
and one of our home radio DJs here, Dan Murphy, is going to be your MC, right?
Yes,
that'll be fun for him. He always likes to do that. And like I said, workshops, screenings, there's foods available to buy. There's like a lunch truck there usually or something like that.
There is. I've got a lunch truck. That's the only thing. If you're coming, I want to provide lunch if you're going to be there all day. And that's the one thing that you would have to buy, but
and then there's also lots of vendors in one of those big rooms. It's like a gym, I think, that want to give you free things and samples and tell you.
Yeah, I was taking count last night, and I've got well over, close to 70 different vendors that will be there. And wide varieties from social aspects, health, housing, anything you can think of, and then I mix in all the health screenings involved in the in the vendor room as well.
Yeah, so people get their spine checked or their blood pressure and their cholesterol. How long does it take these days to get your results back from a cholesterol test if you do this at a remote site like this? You don't have
I have it down to pretty quick. We bring you in. It's just done with a finger stick. You do not have to have a blood fasting. I have all the numbers if you ate that morning. I don't want anybody falling over if you haven't eaten that morning. And I can run you through, and within 7 minutes, I'll have you talking to one of our physicians to kind of go over your numbers and what they look like. So each person that goes through the cholesterol and glucose screening will get an opportunity to talk to a physician and just kind of go over, am I doing things right? What should I be doing? My statement to everybody is, remember, this is a snapshot of your health. If things are a little high, then my recommendation is go to your physician, take it in and say, hey, we need to look at this. Be proactive in your own health care.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to always say about your health. But be proactive in your own healthcare. Dr. Nishino, I want to turn it back to you. When we talked about diet before, I want to go to exercise as we age and what's appropriate and what's not for people who have been active their whole life, but some people haven't really, and they say, as I'm starting to age, maybe I should start to do this or that. And what about those folks, that I always thought I was in good shape, but now I kind of notice that I can't, I'm out of breath when I climb 2 flights of stairs, et cetera, or whatever. What kind of exercise regimen should people start, and is it always, if I'm just doing light exercise, do I really have to go see my doctor and say, hey, I want to start riding my bike every once in a while now?
Those are really good questions. I think.
Thank you. I got one.
I think absolutely. Physical activity is so important, and then there's it's almost cliche, but there's definitely a use it or lose it component to your function. So. Absolutely. Even if you haven't been in the habit of exercising regularly, that's totally okay. I think it's never too late to start. And then we have a saying in geriatrics, start low, go up slow. And I think it applies to exercise too. So just trying to ease. I think for most people, probably the the easiest way to get into exercise is just taking a walk. I mean, we live in such a beautiful place, and although it's a little bit wet sometimes, it's
There's such a thing as a hat and an umbrella. That's no big deal.
So, yeah, I agree, and I think that's probably that. You don't have to really get any equipment in particular, just some good walking shoes, and to ease into that. Even 5 minutes a day, starting out, if you're really not used to exercising, is much better than not doing anything at all, and then. Gradually, of course, the goal is to work your way up to, they say about 150 minutes a week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go out 30 minutes a day for 5 days out of the week, then you're there.
Now, how about for someone who's like, I've got plenty of friends that are the same age as me and have been my whole life for some reason, and they've been runners and bicyclers. Can they keep up that same 5K, 10K every other, week that... Or should they go to their doctor and say, okay, now I'm almost 60, and should I slow this down? Can I keep doing it? I mean...
I think they should keep doing it as long as they can. I think that's fantastic if they can. I think their body will let them know if they're...
In what way? What do you mean?
Aches and pains, and certainly...
But see, real athletes, they say, I'm going to work through the pain. And that's bad, isn't it, to argue with your body?
Yes, I think certainly as people get older, yes, you really do have to listen a little bit more to what your body's telling you. I think pain is always something that needs to be acknowledged and looked into, especially as you get older. You're right. Younger people, they may just shake it off and be fine the next day. But I think as people get older, they find that that's not so much the case.
So when my body doesn't shake it off is the time when I realize, okay, maybe I should consult my doctor about how often I exercise and how rigorous. And he or she might say, you know what, your knee, let's take a look at whatever, your heels, your knee, your
And certainly at any age, if there are any symptoms that happen acutely, I mean, one big one we think about chest pain, also shortness of breath, things like that. That will definitely, that should be checked immediately in an emergency room type setting. So just want to put that out there. But in general, I think, I think it's good to get at least an annual checkup, as you get older. So that would be a great time to talk with your physician too, to see if they have any concerns. If you're thinking about starting a new exercise program or ramping up an exercise program, that would be a good chance to talk about that.
And I got maybe time for another segment here. I want to ask about mental exercise. So this is kind of, been played around in the media. You can exercise your brain. Yes? No? What do the geriatricians say about, exercising our brain? Is it just stimulating brain activity? Is that what they mean, exercising your brain?
Yeah, it can be a wide variety of things. I mean, absolutely. I think keeping your mind active is one of the things that have been shown to reduce your chances of developing an Alzheimer's disease. So definitely. But, a lot of people take that to mean, okay, I should do a crossword every day or a Sudoku. And those are fine if you really like those. But there's so many other ways to use your brain. I mean, I think reading is wonderful, and actively engaging with the material and reading. So people that are avid readers are doing quite a bit for their brains already. Certainly, there are a lot of other things.
If reading is good, how about writing? I mean, people have lost the art of writing letters and cards to their friends and family. Is that just as good for the brain?
Yes. Absolutely. Writing down things. And
journaling, maybe?
I think those are all really good suggestions. Good. Yeah, anything that really actively engage, so what we don't want is somebody just being very passive. The classic example is watching television, just kind of being a passive, I guess, interaction with something, but more actively engaging. So if you really like television, actually, I think some of those game shows are actually, pretty good if you're actively watching, like Wheel of Fortune, trying to guess the next letter, trying to guess the word. Jeopardy certainly is very challenging for any age.
Your brain is engaged in, like you said, actively working with what you're looking at and doing, participating.
Yes. And also one other thing that's interesting is that with the mental stimulation, it's not just studying or doing puzzles and things like that. It's actually, we found that actually getting out there and interacting with people. I mean, when you have to meet somebody new and introduce yourself and think about what you're going to say, that uses a completely different part of your brain too, and that's also very helpful. So it doesn't have to be something kind of tedious like doing a really hard jigsaw puzzle or something like that. It can be something really fun and and help you in other ways too.
Being social, active social, is good for the brain and the mental stimulation. You mentioned that as part of the discipline of geriatrics, is the social aspect of it. Wow.
Yes.
We've come around full circle. We got a couple of minutes left. So thank you so much for that. That's a great tip. Before we run out of time, Charlene, last things again about the Active Senior Fair coming up this Saturday, March 11th at Westminster Chapel.
Anybody's invited. One of the biggest questions I always get is, well, it says active senior. What's a senior? My first statement is I don't card anybody at the door. So if you're interested in the information, you can go to our website.
That's what we need to say, yeah.
Which is overlakehospital.org/active senior fair. You'll be taken to our page, and you can see all of the stuff that I've got set up.
Okay, now I got to make you say that again because people just picked up the pen or pencil.
It's overlakehospital.org/active senior fair.
Great.
And when you're on the page, then you can see what's there. I encourage baby boomers. I also call them sandwich generations. Those people, like you said yourself, that you're caring for your parent, but you're also caring for yourself. There may be stuff you'd be interested in hearing about.
I got youngsters I'm caring for, too.
Exactly.
And don't want to move out of the house for some reason. Well, they want to move out. But
they're rubber banding. They keep coming back.
Well, that's right.
So, anybody that's interested in the fair, I have people in their 40s that are bringing a parent up to, I've had 90-year-old plus people there. And as Dr. Nishino said, being active, staying active, come out, get some information, be involved, talk to friends. You'll see a lot of people that you've probably not seen in a while. I always do. So it's a great opportunity to get out and spend the day out and get some information and some fun activities.
That's great. And Dr. Nishino, anything you want to bring home, say what's your wrap on something when you talk about aging successfully or something?
I think in general it comes down to the basics, so it's not so complicated. A lot of people, are thinking it's probably really hard to age successfully, and it seems so onerous. But basically, it's eating right, staying physically active, and then keeping your mind active too. So I think we covered those three things today. But that's basically what it is, and. It really is important to stay active. So I'm so happy that that we have this active senior fair and to promote that as well. Looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Yeah, great. And so, like I said, it's Saturday at Westminster Chapel in Bellevue on Northeast 24th Street. And Charlene's right. You can look it up online. And there's a map there that gets you Overlake Hospital, all spelled out, overlakehospital.org/active senior fair. Thank you guys so much for coming in and sharing with us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We've been talking to folks from Overlake Hospital, Charlene Raunio, she's the education coordinator, and Dr. Ken Nishino, he's a geriatrician. Thank you so much for coming in, and also for what the Active Senior Fair and the medical tips, and all it does for the seniors and all of us that are aging. All of us age, so that includes us all. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Gary Shipe. Thanks for listening today. We hope you've learned something new. Join us again next week as we continue to talk with people that are making a difference in our community.